Hey everyone, so let's talk about something you probably walk past every single day without a second thought, a tree. But what if I told you that a tree isn't just a plant? What if it's actually a living hard drive, one that's been meticulously recording the history of our planet, year by year, in its very own wood? And to really kick things off, let's start with a question that sounds like it's straight out of science fiction. How on earth can a tree, a living thing, possibly remember a solar storm that ripped through our solar system during the Middle Ages? I mean, centuries before we even had telescopes to see such things. It sounds impossible, right? Well, the answer is literally locked inside. To get how this works, we have to kind of shift our perspective. We need to stop thinking of a tree as just a tree and start seeing it for what it truly is, a biological archive. Yeah, you heard that right. A library made entirely of wood. I love this way of putting it. A tree doesn't just grow, it writes its own autobiography. Every year, it adds a new layer, a new ring, almost like a page in a book. And each new page seals away the memories of the years before, locking them in place forever. It's a book that's never edited, only added to. So, how exactly is this amazing book written? Well, we all learned in school that you can count a tree's rings to figure out how old it is. But you know what? That's just reading the page numbers. The real story, all the juicy details, that's written in a kind of chemical code hidden inside those very rings. Now, there's a whole field of science for this. It's called dendrochronology. And yeah, it all starts with counting rings. But that is just scratching the surface. Scientists today can now read the information packed into each individual ring and reconstruct the past with honestly incredible precision. And this, right here, this is the crucial point. The width of a ring can tell you some basic stuff. You know, a wide ring probably means it was a good year with lots of rain. A narrow one might signal a drought. But the real secrets, they come from the chemistry, the invisible fingerprints of the atmosphere that the tree breathed in and locked away that year. Each ring is like a sealed time capsule. So how does this actually work? It's a beautifully simple, four-step process. First, the tree grows a new ring of cells. And as it does, it absorbs a chemical snapshot of that year's atmosphere. Then, those cells die and harden into wood. And here's the magic. That chemical data gets locked in, permanently. Then the next year, a new ring grows right over it, sealing that record away for potentially thousands of years. It's a perfect, unchangeable archive. Okay, so the data is locked in. The time capsule is sealed. But how do scientists actually read what's inside? How do they decipher this invisible ink? Because once you know what to look for, the chemical secrets hidden in the wood are as clear as day. This really breaks it down perfectly. Looking at the width of the rings tells us about the tree's direct experience. You know, how much rain it got, if it was a tough winter, that kind of thing. But when you analyze the chemistry inside those rings, whoa. That tells us about the entire planet's atmosphere at that exact moment in time. We're not just reading the tree's diary anymore, we're reading Earth's. So what is this invisible ink made of? Well, it's a whole cocktail of atmospheric fingerprints. Scientists can measure things like different isotopes of carbon, which tells them about past CO2 levels. They can find tiny traces of sulfur, lead, even radioactive isotopes left over from nuclear testing. And remember that medieval solar storm? That's detected through sudden spikes in something called radiocarbon-14. And here is where it gets really, really cool. You can connect these chemical fingerprints to massive global events. A sudden spike in sulfur can pinpoint the exact year of a gigantic volcanic eruption, even if it happened on the other side of the planet. The first appearance of lead in the rings tells us exactly when the Industrial Revolution started polluting the air in that region. And those radiocarbon spikes, they give us a timeline of cosmic events that no human ever wrote down. Of course, not every tree in your backyard is an elite record keeper. To create a historical archive that spans millennia, you need a very, very special kind of tree. One that has basically evolved to become a master historian. So, what makes a tree an elite archive? Well, it takes a few key traits. First, you need incredible longevity. We're talking thousands of years. They also need a natural resistance to stuff like rot and insects, so their library doesn't just decay. And, interestingly, they often grow in really harsh places, which leads to slow, dense growth, creating these really tight, high-resolution rings that are perfect for scientists to read. And here they are, the champions of the natural world. These are the special forces of archive trees. You've got the ancient Bristlecone pines in the American West, the Fitzroy trees in Chile, and of course, the majestic giant sequoias. These species are the keepers of our planet's oldest stories. Just look at that number for a second. 9,000 years. By studying both living and dead Bristlecone pines in one single area, scientists have pieced together a continuous, unbroken climate record stretching back 9,000 years. That takes us to the dawn of human civilization. It's just astonishing. Okay, so we've got these incredible living libraries. What are some of the actual stories they've told us? This is the real payoff. Let's take a look at what we've actually learned by reading the trees. This timeline shows just a few of the highlights. Trees all over the world recorded the global cooling that marked the start of the Little Ice Age. They show a really distinct chemical signature from that monster eruption of Mount Tambora in 1815, the one that caused the year without a summer. And they clearly mark the beginning of the nuclear age with the sudden appearance of radioactive isotopes in their wood. They've been silent witnesses to our entire history. But here's the real kicker, the thing that is just mind-bending. The trees aren't just confirming events we already knew about from history books. They're revealing brand new events, like mysterious cosmic explosions or powerful solar flares from centuries ago, that exist absolutely nowhere in any human record. In some cases, the trees are only historians. Now, all of this ancient knowledge isn't just a cool, fun fact. It actually has profound implications for us right now. These trees, they form our planet's living memory. And that memory gives us a vital baseline for understanding our present and our future. And this is why it matters so much today. By analyzing the carbon in thousands of years of tree rings, scientists can establish a crystal clear baseline for what natural CO2 levels are supposed to look like. When you compare that long-term natural record to the levels recorded since the Industrial Revolution, well, the scale of our modern impact becomes undeniably clear. The trees give us the ultimate context. When you really think about it, each and every tree ring is this incredible point of connection. It's a silent intersection where the atmosphere, the oceans, volcanoes, the sun, and yes, human activity all come together and leave a permanent mark encoded in wood. So if these ancient trees really are the planet's hard drive and they're diligently recording everything that happens, it leaves us with one final, powerful question to think about. 1,000 years from now, when scientists analyze the rings being formed today, right now, what story will they tell about our era? What chemical signature are we leaving behind for them to find?